Well, my name is Steve Ridgel, and I talk to a lot of churches about how to grow. Everywhere I go, churches are worried about getting smaller or shrinking, and they want to know how to grow. And so I want to give you four real quick suggestions about how to grow your church. Now, I want to be real clear here. I'm not talking about swell troop transfer because this church changed its what it believes, and so everybody ran over to this church, and the new church thinks, boy, we really are growing. That's Christians swapping communities of faith. That's troop transfer. That's not growth. But I want to talk about real growth. And I'm convinced the only way to really grow any family is by new births. And I think that applies to churches too. So here are four real quick suggestions how to help your church to grow. Number one, be a church that invites. Boy, every time you do an activity, encourage your members to invite friends, invite neighbors, invite family. When you have activities that really lend themselves to inviting outsiders, invite them to come to your activities. They can be fun activities. They can be things that a marriage conference or a parenting conference or dealing with older parents. Anything that's a practical help in our world, but that's done by the church, invite people to that. But don't stop your invitation there. Learn to invite them to the next step. If you enjoyed this, if you appreciated this, thank you for coming, and would you like to know more about Jesus, about why we do this? Can I tell you my story? Can I tell you a Jesus story? Have your people learn to invite people. Number two, celebrate conversions. And by that I mean if you do reach somebody and a non-Christian becomes a Christian, you have a party. If you're a small church, invite the whole church. Do a potluck, do a pizza night, do something that really celebrates. Cake and ice cream after church on Sunday or Wednesday or whatever. Celebrate your conversions. If you're a big church, have a small group, bring the person that's now part of your family and celebrate those. Make a big deal. And do it publicly too. Get them up in front of the church and announce their conversion and pray over them. But do a big party at some point somewhere because that's important. Number three, tell the story of every new convert. Film their story and play it for the church. Have them tell their story. Have the people involved in bringing somebody to Jesus tell why they did what they did and what their part in that was. Because the more you tell the story, the more other people will say, I can do that, and I could do that, and the more excited they'll be to hear what happened. So tell the stories. Now, I know that takes some time out of your worship, but if you really want to be a growing church and you want to reach people, you share stories a lot about how people came to faith and the part that people played in that. And if you really want to be radical and really want to grow, stop hiring ministers and start hiring evangelists. Now that'd be a radical shift because frankly, most of the preachers that get hired at churches are hired because they're really good at ministering to the church. Youth ministers, education ministers, senior ministers, ministers of the word, but start hiring evangelists so that when your people start inviting people and they say, I do want to know more about Jesus, they'll have somebody to go to say, can you help me and can you meet with and can you do? And tell your preachers their job now is not to minister to the children of our church people. Their new job is to be evangelists, to help their young people's friends come to Jesus, to help other people. Hire evangelists, not just ministers, and your church will really grow. So, this is Steve Ridgel telling you none of those may make sense to you, but they're things I have seen that have helped churches grow.